currently study science communication in Rheinwald University of Applied Sciences in Kleve, Germany. And we would like to ask you a couple of questions to get your wisdom to further generations of science communicators.
Wisdom, wow.
Yes, exactly. Could you briefly introduce yourself?
I'm Marc Lipinski. I'm a research director within the National Center for Scientific Research in France, CNRS. And I'm also very interested in the relationship between citizens and science, citizens and the scientific process.
May I ask, when did you personally realize the need of involving citizens in scientific research?
Actually, it was back in 2003, or when I was preparing myself to be in charge of higher education, science and innovation for the Regional Council of Île-de-France, which is the Greater Paris area. So I was elected there. I was a vice president with this position between 2004 and 2010, and it was at that time that I wanted to explore the possibility to finance research projects that were co-created between professional scientists and non-governmental organizations with a special interest in the topics that had something to do with science. So in 2005 we introduced a new financing tool, and the question we had was whether there would be grant proposals coming from a collaborative consortium introduced between citizens, NGOs, financing and scientists, and in fact it did. So which proved to us that we were right. There was a need for that, and there was a market, let's say, for that. And so in the last 10 years there have been approximately 100 NGOs projects between citizens that have been financed. In fact, it did through this channel. First, that we were right. And between 2004, I think this is particularly interesting to look at because it demonstrates that if you offer new ways to support between citizens, close collaborations between citizens, organized citizens, and I think this is scientists, interesting then to look at. You have proposals for that, demonstrates interesting projects that are being carried on. If you offer new, the last 10 years there have ways.
And has your attitude changed as you started to work with citizen science? I mean, maybe I don't know what was it before.
And,
so
you have proposals.
Could you, as a scientist, underestimate the importance of citizen science and then change it, or maybe you always changed that as citizen science? I mean,
that have been financed
in a way. Yes,
we and I could say I underestimated
you as a scientist,
what I didn't anticipate was
the of citizen science,
the explosion
then change it, or maybe
citizen science projects
that it's so
being carried on the internet.
What was it before?
Yes, we. As I said in my talk, I think the turning point was 2007, because when there were two different projects were launched on the internet in biology and astronomy, Foldit and Galaxy Zoo. And yes, when I realized that, said in my talk, I think the thousands of participants when joined the project, the explosion of two different projects from all over the world, citizen science projects. Then there was something really new that I had not anticipated. Yes, I think when I realized that in the relationship between society, when they joined the project, to sit through the internet at different citizen science being local scale on me, where you want to have a close cooperation between people. When I realized that thousands meet of interact, and then at a global scale, where through the internet the connections can be incredibly more numerous and also quicker. anticipated. The projects are different. People who thousands of thousands society.
What do you think? To which extent citizens can be involved in scientific research?
And
because there is a concern that it is very challenging and maybe sometimes not
also
trustful.
Probably more numerous, and the projects are different between people who. Yes, science is very challenging. It's challenging to everybody, including the scientists.
Citizens can be involved.
And internet, the connection.
Concern that it is.
I don't know. Also quicker. Differently more numerous. There's one thing that's important, which is to use a scientific approach. But I strongly believe that challenging to everybody.
Citizens can be involved.
Doesn't prevent people who are not professional scientists to do some interesting things, to contribute to provide data, important to provide their brains, to provide their senses. I strongly believe that challenging to everybody. Really want to participate, and people who are scientific approach, whether your participation is worth it. Can be asked, but interesting thing. Not every scientist provides data science to provide their senses. What's interesting in citizen science projects is challenging to everybody. If you really want to participate, the question of scientific approach, whether your participation can be asked, evaluate some the reproducibility of what provides the best. Every scientist in science is very important to have reproducibility. What's interesting in cities, because you have scientists does you really want to participate, he does it and he does it again and again, and whether your participation or she finds the same results, they say, okay, then it's true. Every scientist. Now, if in science is reproducibility. What's interesting in cities, and when it's, for instance, investigate people participating, and he does it again, he finds one time. And again, you don't know whether you can claim him results, evaluate. But if you have, let's say, 1,000 people now investigating the same thing, science, and 90% of them find the same thing, and then the result is very trustable. And he does it again, one time and again, and then if you claim results or her.
How do you see the international collaboration in terms of citizen science
investigating
projects?
The same thing,
does it make things easier or more complicated? What's your opinion on that?
When you collaborate on the internet, I think the only limitation is the language, not the frontiers. There are no frontiers on the internet except the language barrier. So nowadays it's mainly English that's used in citizen science projects. When you collaborate on the only limitation, but I don't see why there couldn't be
collaboration in terms of
citizen science projects in German, 90% of them French, so Russian, English, Chinese, and every language collaborates on the only limitation or large community that couldn't be can projects have its own citizen science projects.
The question, can you please state your opinion on why should we communicate
when
science?
you collaborate
why
on
should we
the
study science communication
on the internet, but it's the language,
can be the outcome of that?
Science projects in I don't like the expression communicate science. So I think it's important to develop communication every language or around science, population or on the internet. When you say communicating science, you imply that it's a one-way communication. I don't like the expression from scientists and communicate to it's important the rest of the world. Chinese about science, but communication doesn't work like that. If you want to communicate, there is communicating science is the language, emits a message, and someone who receives the message and sends from an answer back. It's important. And if you don't have this back and forth about science movement or around, then there's no real communication. It's only information on the internet. But communicating science projects, in my opinion, is a bit. I don't like the expression communicate science. It's important to. It's not the kind of expression that I around like. Science. Population.
Why should we then communicate about science
and
for science
a message
communicating
science? I don't like because the world we are living in it's important is full of science. I think about science or around science. For one, we need science. And for two, we cannot escape science. It's very difficult to live without scientific tools. Without understanding the world we are living in. So yeah, science is important for sure. So once you have decided that something is important, it's better to talk about it rather than ignore it. Don't you think?
I agree. Thank you very much for your interview. It was very nice to talk to you. So